Welcome. We're back another day in the market. Pretty red day overall for stocks. A little bit of a bounce today for Bitcoin. I mean, I think that's now, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 green days in a row for Bitcoin. So basically a week straight of green for Bitcoin, which is amazing. We're just gonna look at Bitcoin when people are hopping into the stream. After that, we're gonna talk about the market, talk about all the earnings, talk about tomorrow. Then we're gonna look at Clover and AMC and SOFI, and we'll also look at Wish eventually and Fisker. All the names I usually go over, we're gonna look at. And then we'll do take requests after that. So make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. And yeah, just starting off with Bitcoin, it's still just within this range. It is near the top of the range after a huge bounce up. Relatively neutral here. It's pretty high on the RSI compared to where it was not too long ago, but it's not even overbought yet. If we go over to the 4 hours, pretty much the same thing, kind of just going sideways. Really the only thing I could find on the Bitcoin chart was a 1 hour upsloping channel. So that's really all I could see in the short term in terms of like a pattern or something like that. So we'll see what Bitcoin does in the next few days. We could just look at the altcoin trades just to get them done with really quickly. First one, Dogecoin. This is an idea I think from last week. It's still up 10% since the entry. I would like to see this get back above 21 cents. That would definitely be a lot better, but still looks fine for right now. Trades in profit. Another one was Atom USD. This one still is up 15%, kind of just moving sideways. Probably the same thing for Link. It's currently up about 28% since the entry last week. So pretty good start, almost at the first target. And then finally, NUUSD is actually still, it's bouncing up a little bit right now. So it's still around the entry. The quintuple classic bullish divergence on the MACD, triple classic bullish divergence on the RSI. Broke out of this down sloping channel, depending on how you have it charted. But yeah, you know, altcoins are doing pretty well. Pretty much most of crypto has been doing pretty well for the last week. So we'll see how they continue to do. Now we're probably gonna talk about the stock market for a little bit. Let me take a look at the chat. This is just like a regular Adidas shirt. I don't think it's any teams or anything. So just to answer your question, Cheddar Freeze. But yeah, for the market today, we're gonna actually start off with the ARK ETF, which is a ETF for a lot of mid-cap growth stocks. And at one point today, it was down like almost 5%, which that does not happen too often. That was a very, very, very big drop in the morning, especially recovered about halfway back up in the afternoon. But you know, when it was down 5%, that was like the most of that dropped in a few hours, I think, since like May 13th or something, like down over here, which was like literally a bottom. And yeah, you had a very, very rough morning for a lot of growth stocks and mid caps and also small caps as well. You broke the 200-day moving average right at the open, which is when I started like getting a little bit cautious, and then it just got worse and worse and worse and worse. If you're a premium member, I did share a call option idea for the ARK today when it was down, I think about like 3%, and then it ended up going down to like almost 5%, and then it came all the way back up to 2.5%. It was really volatile. Like I think at one point those options I shared were down like 25-30%. And then by the time the market closed, they bounced up and they were up like 50% since the entry. So it was like super volatile all around. You know, looking at the levels right now for the ARK ETF, it's not too easy. It's kind of in between two different areas. You know, the resistance is pretty much where you opened up today around the 200-day moving average at like 121. And then your support is around that 115 area, as you can see from these lows and these resistances. So kind of right in between support and resistance going into tomorrow. Tomorrow is, I believe, the second day of the Fed meeting. I don't think we have any notes out yet. I don't know if we're going to be getting notes tomorrow on that or if they're going to come out later. But that's going on currently, and obviously that can affect the market. I think the last one was like in the middle of June. And for whatever reason, I remember the last time around in the middle of June, everybody was talking about the Fed meeting, but this week, I guess everybody's just like concerned with earnings. I don't know, but yeah, we're gonna look at the other stuff now. Russell 2000, beautiful bounce right off the demand line. If you're in the Discord, right when it was at the demand line. I just put it in the chat that, hey, the Russell is currently at the demand line right now. Had about a 1% bounce off of that area. So yeah, really just a very, very ugly open to the day, especially for the first few hours. And then you did end up bouncing the last couple hours of the day. Looking at the S&P 500, pretty much the same case, had a big pullback. It did not fill this gap, unfortunately. It got pretty close and then bounced back up. And then also for the NASDAQ, very similar price action. Yeah, and then after the close, we had major earnings. We had Apple, Microsoft, AMD. Just pull it up right here. We had Apple. I don't know if you can see it. It's kind of cut out by the side of it, but I'm just going to talk about them. Apple beat on earnings. AMD beat on earnings. Microsoft beat on earnings. Google beat. I think Teladoc might have missed a little bit. Starbucks beat. Visa beat. Enphase beat. MAT beat. And I don't know if all of them went up after. I haven't looked at every single one of them after hours, but you know, earnings for Q2 have been pretty strong for most companies so far. It was pretty much the same thing for Q1. If anybody remembers, back in the beginning of May, end of April, a lot of companies had a really good first quarter, but their prices didn't really react. And we saw that in the beginning of May. We were actually getting a sell-off in the market after good earnings reports from a lot of different companies. And we're going to see if we're going to do that again or if we're actually going to have a move up. It's kind of weird because we've already been pricing in a lot of earnings for the last few weeks because a lot of large cap tech stocks have been running this whole entire month, like Apple and Microsoft and Nvidia and probably Google. I haven't even really looked at it, but I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. So, you know, we're going to see what all that turns into. Definitely huge numbers, especially from Google today. They really crushed it on advertising, I believe. And then tomorrow, I think we have Amazon reporting and probably a couple others. So we're going to see what all that turns into. Looking at the sectors, consumer defensive and utilities weren't really moved too much today. There was a lot of volatility in healthcare and financials today, as well as consumer cyclicals. Industrials also had a little bit of volatility. Not too much here apart from that. Looks like there was some hedge fund buying in LUMN today. Looks like there was some selling in BABA. A lot of Chinese stocks as well have been very, very volatile with a bunch of different news that's been dropping. So we're going to see how those continue to either sell off or eventually bounce. If you've been looking at we talked about them last night, the Chinese education stocks like EDU and TAL, those actually bounced today. And most Chinese stocks were down today. I believe BABA was down, Baidu was down, NEO was down like almost 10%, I think. I think XPV was down as well. So it was a pretty rough day for a lot of Chinese stocks, but the education stocks actually ended up bouncing like pretty nicely. One of them, TAL, was up almost like 30% between market hours and after hours, and then EDU also bounced as well, it's really interesting because there is a lot of fundamental concerns going on there. I mean, for those education stocks, I think China like literally wants to make those companies non-profits and like delist them or something like that, which is like probably the worst thing that can happen to a publicly traded company. But they did bounce today. Their technicals actually do look pretty interesting. I mean, even if we look at it right here, you could see highest share increases, whereas on EDU, and I was looking at Twitter earlier, and there was like an insane amount of orders coming in for EDU. If anybody follows those Twitter accounts that show that, like millions and millions of dollars for like hours and hours and hours today. It was really interesting to see after the news comes out and after it has dropped probably like 80 something percent. I don't even remember at this point. So really interesting day. We even saw a little bit of a pullback for a lot of crypto stocks. Just a red day overall for the market. Getting back over to the charts, we could probably take a look at the volatility index now. That is currently up it was up 10% today. It was a little bit higher intraday before the market started bouncing in the afternoon. Still in a relatively weird area. The 10-year also hasn't really moved too much. The dollar hasn't moved too much, so it's still just pretty unclear looking at those other indices. And yeah, anything apart from that, you can take a look at the Chinese market getting wrecked. We'll see how that does. Let me actually take a look at how that's doing right now, if it can load. So it opens in 8 minutes. Or I'll probably try and come back to that if I remember. But yeah, very, very volatile. We also have, I believe, new CDC guidelines that came out today. So just all around, so many different things to be talking about right now. Futures are up a little bit right now. GameStop, I did see the article about it being added to the S&P 400 mid-cap index. Teladoc, yeah, did not do too well, I believe. I think Microsoft was down initially on earnings and then it bounced up. Not too sure. Tomorrow is a press release with Powell. All right, so that will probably be very, very important. They usually do them around 2 p.m. EST. I don't know if it's going to be the same time tomorrow. We could probably just look it up. Yeah, but a lot of companies did crush earnings today and didn't really price that in after hours because it could have already been priced in. It could have been a bad guidance. Just so many different things that comes with earnings. To me, it's just kind of like gambling unless you've done like super extensive, fundamental analysis and due diligence. Any thoughts for tomorrow? When we have all of these different variables surrounding everything, I just have to stay open-minded. I could see anything happening. We had a red day, we could bounce back, we could go lower because we already did bounce in the afternoon. There's so many different pieces of news that are out there, so many different earnings, the Fed meeting, like there's just so many variables that I'd rather just be completely open-minded than trying to pick one way or the other. And, I'll still try and day trade and find individual stocks that look good during the day, but when the market is this back and forth, I just kind of sit back and just let it do what it wants to do. And then hopefully the swings don't get too wrecked, which a lot of them did pull back today, but bounced a little bit in the afternoon. Max says, can we please get a good correction already so we can move on with their lives? I mean, yeah, the S&P and the NASDAQ still right around all-time highs. But on the other hand, it's been a bear market. It's been a short-term / midterm bear market for growth stocks and not really small caps. But if you look at the ARK ETF, technically since February, you're not even close to those highs. You've been in a downtrend. You had a little bit of like a short-term rally here. I'm sure everybody remembers from the beginning of May up until the end of June, but it technically has been a kind of like a bear market. Most of these stocks that are like ARK type stocks are at much lower levels than they were at in February. And then when you look at the S&P, it's kind of the opposite. So it just depends on what you're trading at the end of the day. Oh my gosh, I forgot about the Robinhood IPO. I'm not exactly sure which day it is, but I think it could be this week potentially. There's been a lot of news around that. They were talking about they want to open up retirement accounts, I think. Obviously, there's a lot of retail, how do I put it? A lot of retail frustration with Robinhood as well. So we're going to see how all that goes. I would not be touching Robinhood on IPO day. I don't trade IPOs at all. Really, again, no thoughts on that. I mean, it could happen. There's so many different scenarios, right? I don't like trying to guess about what could happen and I'll just let it happen and I'll react to whatever does happen, So you're saying it is on Thursday. So we're going to see how that goes. I think that's really big, not only just for Robinhood, but for the overall market to see how that, prices into things. Just like I think the other huge IPO this year, there's been a lot of them. I think Coinbase was another big one. It didn't really affect the market too much in hindsight. And I don't think, one singular IPO is going to affect the whole market, but it definitely could be a big piece of news that, CNBC and all these different news sources focus the day around on Thursday, I guess. So yeah, big IPOs for sure. Let's talk about some tickers now. Make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. On days when the market's horrible, you're gonna have less people in the stream. The Discord is gonna be super slow. We've done this, probably 10 times this year already. Is what it is, but I'm always showing up no matter what the market's doing. So appreciate everybody who's coming out to the stream regardless of what the day looked like. We're gonna talk about probably Clover first. See what's up with that. Hidden bullish divergence still developing. It was only down 2% today. I think on the week it's like exactly flat right now. Yeah, literally this between yesterday and today, it's pretty much no change since Friday's close. So it was up 2% yesterday. It was down 2% today. Nothing's really changed at all. There's not even much to update. I pretty much said the same things last night. Still looks like a potential double bottom at the pattern completion zone of a bullish crab. Still have the hidden bullish divergence like literally everywhere. Even have some 1 hour classic bullish divergence. The technicals have been there for a long time, but like I've been saying every single night, the buyers are just not there. Or the buyers might be there, but the sellers are just so strong currently. The shorts are just so strong. You know, in my opinion, like I've said, and I don't want to continue to repeat the same thing every night, I'm just waiting to see for more strength in this stock. You know, you could try and pick a bottom. I mean, this could be an area where it finds a local bottom, but I'm just waiting to see higher highs and higher lows just so you can get a better float on this one. But really nothing changed today, so I'm just going to kind of just look at that really briefly tonight. I know we spent a lot more on that on other days, but not much to talk about today on that. Anything else I missed in the chat? We're going to talk about AMC right now. It's down 6% today. A little bit of pullback. I just think any day above 36 for AMC is good / important. It might be turning in if we go over to the, we actually are on the 4 hour. It might be turning into a little bit of a mini triangle right now. It's not perfect, but probably just look at it like this. So actually, I might be watching this tomorrow. Depending on which way this breaks tomorrow, this could be a potential day trade. So I'm actually going to make sure I keep this on my watches for tomorrow. Give me a second here. So I'm going to be watching AMC tomorrow for a day trade. I want to see which way this breaks. Probably going to look for some more confirmation as well, obviously, rather than just trading a triangle. But apart from that, it's all about holding 36 on AMC. That's a very important level. It was your previous highs from 2015 and 2016. Hidden bullish divergence is still there. I mean, if this triangle breaks to the upside tomorrow, that could be a good push. That's really, I mean, not too much of a change. I mean, I know it's down a lot today, but from a technical standpoint, it looks kind of like the exact same. Another one is SOFI, which was down 4% today. I think it's gotten to a point where you can't really call it a bullish bat anymore. Maybe you could call it an alternate bat by now. Maybe just call it an alternate bat instead of like a regular bullish bat. Fortunately, SOFI has lost a lot of positive momentum on the 4 hour MACD, but it could be argued that there is now classic bullish divergence on the 4 hour RSI. So that's really good. On the daily, you still have, oh, actually, no, you don't. You had confirmed hidden bullish divergence on the daily for 1 day, and with the pullback today, you actually lost that. So you definitely want to hope for the MACD to go back to green. If it does, you can still call it hidden bullish divergence. It's just one little bar for right now, but you never know what it'll turn into. For SOFI, it tested the level today. We've been talking about this level for weeks, even at much higher prices. 1474, 1475, that was your support in March of this year and in April of this year. That was your support today as well. So I would really like to see SOFI hold above 1475 tomorrow. I did lose some money day trading SOFI. I think, well, I actually overnighted it. So I got SOFI calls personally yesterday. Sold them for a loss this morning when it was at higher prices. But yeah, that's really it for SOFI. It's all about 1475. We just looked at Clover, Mr. or I don't know, Martinez. I don't know if it's a Mr. or Mrs. I don't know. But yeah, we just looked at CLOV. Already talked about it. Still looks the same to me. Barely moved today. No difference since last night. So that's Clover, AMC, SOFI. Anything else? I mean, we could just look at these Chinese education stocks really quickly. TAL is one. I mean, we talked about these last night. They've been destroyed, like literally demolished this whole entire year, but especially within the last 2 weeks with all the horrible news that came out. But they did actually have big bounces today. I mean, TAL was up 25%, which if you zoom out, looks like absolutely nothing compared to how much it's lost in value, but it did make a very strong move today. I was watching it for a day trade. I missed this one, but I did look at EDU and I did catch some EDU for some profit. I was watching it at $2 in this little range, went up to 220, so it went up like 10%. If you're a premium member, you know about that. And yeah, I mean, all I was looking at these ones were for day trades because from a fundamental standpoint, I don't know how you can really look at these anymore, because if China wants to turn these profitable, I believe profitable companies into non-profits, what? I mean, I don't know. I have no clue what's going on with the fundamentals, with all of that. I was just looking at it from a technical standpoint. It was already green on the day. I was just looking at it as like a short-term day trade. From like a swing trader's perspective, even apart from fundamentals, there's not really much to look at. You know, there's not any pattern or any divergence. Just something I wanted to bring up because it was on a lot of scanners today. There was some heavy buying for whatever reason, and it did make a nice move. So we'll see if it continues this rally tomorrow. I'll be watching these again for day trades. I'm not looking to swing trade them. Like I said, please don't get in these and then one day gaps down 40%. I'm not telling you to do anything. I'm just talking about them because they are pretty interesting. I'm just interested to see how they react, because how much they've already sold off is a lot compared to where they were just in the beginning of the year. But at the same time, it kind of makes sense why they've sold off so much. It's just a very interesting part of the market right now to look at. So just looking at that for fun right now. Don't take it too serious. Not financial advice. Didn't even really say anything that was. So just wanted to cover really quickly. What else we got in the chat? Shelby says down overall 5% in the portfolio today, but I'm cool with it. Shout out Chan for always being here. Appreciate it. Yeah, make sure to join the Discord. Chatter Freeze just dropped the link in the chat. If you're not in the Discord, you're just missing out. You know, I'm not going to sit here and tell you about the 100 things that you can get for free in the Discord. You can just click the link and find out yourself. If you don't want to, you can just keep missing out. It's all good, but you should join it. And yeah, let's just go over the ongoing trades right now. After I finish the ongoing trades, we're going to do ticker requests. Don't drop any tickers in the chat just yet. So pretty much all of them, actually not all of them, Wish actually was up today, but most of them were a little bit red today. Fisker was down 2%, trades still up by 2% though. Just chopping around the 200-day moving average. I would like to see Fisker hold above the 200-day moving average, hopefully confirm this hidden bullish divergence and have a nice move. Do keep in mind though, earnings are August 5th. One thing that's been pretty interesting with Fisker is on pretty much their last two and their only two earnings, they dropped a bunch of catalysts right around earnings. That doesn't mean they're going to 100% drop catalysts around this earnings. But on their last earnings, there was like 5 catalysts within 2 weeks of their earnings. And then even on the one before, over here in February, there was a lot as well. There was even a huge price upgrade from Adam Jonas, I believe. And it went crazy after their first earnings, and then it also went crazy after their second earnings. So Fisker's currently 2 for 2 on going up after earnings. Again, that's not a huge sample size. It's not anything I would personally only trade off of. I'm mainly looking at the technicals, just bringing it up because it is coming up shortly. We're going to see if anything comes out of that. Could be good or bad at the same time. Yeah, you know, we all know how I feel about Fisker long term. I still think anything under 20, not financial advice, I still think it's going to be much higher than 20 within a few years. So I'm still just thinking anything in this whole entire area is just one big accumulation range to me. That's just how I look at it. I could be wrong, but we all know it's my favorite company, so hopefully I'm not wrong, but we'll see in a few years, I guess. Moving on from that, we got Skills. Was down 5% today. I like how it closed. Look where it closed. Okay, so it did break this level intraday, but it closed at 14.26, just a few cents above 14.23, which used to be resistance over here in pretty much last fall. So I really like how it held that on the close today. 4 hours still looking pretty decent. I would just like to see it hold above this tomorrow, close above it again, then hopefully turn this into a double bottom at the pattern completion zone of this somewhat bullish bat. Get a nice run hopefully before earnings, and we'll see where it goes from there. But the major resistance will probably be around like $16. Above 16, I think it has a lot of room to the upside. Has to get there first, obviously. Next up is BlackBerry. This one also took a hit again. I think at one point 73% of stocks were down. Let me look at it, how it closed the day. So the day closed with about 68% of stocks declining across the NYSE, NASDAQ, and AMEX. So it was a red day overall. You know, BlackBerry was red as well. It's been on a downtrend, to be fair, for a while now, pretty much since the beginning of June. It came down to that $9.60 level and it bounced off of it. You know, this support was on the chart when I put it out, and that was your previous resistance in April. It was also previous resistance in December and in March of 2019, and it was even support in 2018. So $9.60 is a huge level on BlackBerry. There still is hidden bullish divergence developing on the daily, but it kind of is messing around with this channel too much, unfortunately. So hopefully you can just get a bounce. You know, it also bounced off the low from July 19th. You just want to hold above 958 at the end of the day, in my opinion. Moving on, Wish was actually green today. Was a lot lower at one point, but off the lows to the high of the day, it actually bounced up 8%. From the low of the day to the high of the day, it went up 8%, put a little bit before the close. And now it could be argued that there's a chance for a double bottom on Wish. So hopefully, again, not the strongest pattern, but it could be argued where not once but now twice you've bounced off of this 875-ish area or 880, which used to be resistance in the beginning of June and the end of May. It's actually your support now. So you might have a little bit of a resistance flipped into a support. It already did break out of this supply line when I put out the trade idea. There still is hidden bullish divergence on the daily. Trade is down 4%, but the technicals still look pretty good as long as it can hold above 875. And that's really it for Wish. And then finally, just to finish off the recap for the day, DOC. This one's pretty much a snail. It's in profit, it's up like 2%, but it's been like 2 weeks now and it's really done nothing, to be fair. And I knew that coming into this trade. It's a very, very slow mover, but I just think that if it can cross above 19, then it could get crazy, right? Because the last time it broke above 19, it went all the way to 21 within like about, let's see, a little bit over a month, right? So only took a little bit over a month last time it broke above it. So if it can break above 19 again, we'll see if we can make a nice move. But yeah, it's definitely a longer term idea. I mean, it's only a 10% gain if it hits the target. Just one of those slower, lower risk, but also lower reward type of trades. We'll see how that continues to develop. And that's pretty much the recap for the day. Let me just refresh this. So it looks like the Hong Kong market is actually up 1% right now after a horrible day yesterday, I believe. I don't know if it was HSI was down. It was down yesterday. Oh, I could just look at it right here, I think. Looks like a little bit of a gap up right there after down 3%. Or what? Down 4% yesterday. A little bit higher today. So we'll see if this holds up overnight. Well, then we'll look at the Chinese stocks tomorrow. But again, just a really interesting thing going on with Chinese stocks. I think we've also seen a little bit of that fear coming into a little bit of tech, but there's just so many different ways you could look at it. You could also just say it's just earnings being sold off, sell the news. It's pretty interesting. So yeah. And then futures right now still just relatively flat. Bitcoin is at 39.4K. And that's the recap of the day. So pretty hectic day. I'm sure it wasn't fun for a lot of people. Wasn't too fun for me, but the market's not always going to be fun. There's going to be ups and downs. So yeah, make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. What else did I miss in the chat? Alright, no, I don't think I missed too much. Alright, so we'll probably just do take requests for the rest of the stream. Might be a quicker stream as well tonight, I don't know. Depends on how the vibes are. But yeah, we'll just look at takers for the rest of the stream. So don't request anything that was up over 30% today. Do not request anything that IPO'd within the last week. I will skip your chart. I'm telling you ahead of time. So if I do skip your chart, don't get mad at me. I'm saying it literally ahead of time. Those were the rules. I'm not going to look at it if it's already went crazy or if there's no data on the chart. And remember, nothing I say is financial advice. Technicals are only probabilities, not certainties, and these are just my opinions. All right. So let's get into it. We already looked at SOFI. It'll be in the timestamps after the stream is over. but on SOFI, your important level to hold is $14.75. All good, Frank. You probably just didn't know. Just letting you know. And for anybody, if I ever say we already looked at it, Medi, who's in the chat right now, Medi always does timestamps for the stream. So as soon as the stream is over, you'll be able to look at every single ticker I looked at. Just go to the pinned comment, which is under the video section, and you can see every single ticker I looked at and the time that I looked at it. And I tweet it out when the timestamps go up. Just letting you all know, in case you didn't. Why did that not work? Also, give me some time to look through all these. It's going to take a while to get to the bottom. Looked at the wrong BFLY again, I think. Yeah. All right. Okay, let's get to it. First one, AYRO, falling wedge. I'd like to see it get back above 448. That's the important level to me. Classic bullish divergence is possible, but you need that MACD to cross over to green for confirmation. And then hopefully it breaks out of this wedge, gets back above 450, and then we could talk. But if it can't get back above 450, 378 is your next major support on the daily. IDEX is next. Kind of just chopping around. Your support is 223. Your resistance is 262. I don't see much of a pattern here anymore. The hidden bullish divergence kind of did nothing, at least for right now. You just want to hold above 223. Apart from that, don't see much else to talk about from a technical standpoint. Airbnb, relatively flat today. You actually have pretty much confirmed classic bullish divergence now. You made the same low on price, less levels of, or lower levels of negative momentum on your second island. And maybe broke a supply line as well a couple days ago. So it's looking pretty decent here. I would like to see it get back above 144. If it can do so, then it has room to 161. If not, then 137 is your support. Not much to talk about apart from that. You just want to hold above those levels. Lucid is next, pulled back 6% today. It was a red day. I think it, the merger was what, yesterday. 2442 is your support. That was resistance pretty much last week, and it was resistance in the end of April. So you just want to hold above 2442. It's just kind of like one big range here, multi-level range. I think the biggest supports on the Lucid chart are 21, which you bottomed at over here, and over here. And then after that 17, which was your low over here, and over here. But you're well above that, so you don't really have to worry about that for right now, hopefully. And then your resistance is 28. I mean, that's really all I can do. I don't see much of a pattern or any divergence. It just made a nice move. It just went from 21 to 28 in what, like 2 weeks. So can't complain. That is pulling back a little bit now, especially on a red day. We'll see what it does. Tesla somehow closed like literally right above the 200-day moving average, or right at the 200-day moving average. I still think the chart looks pretty good here. You know, the earnings kind of made a little bit volatile, but kind of does look like Wyckoff accumulation to me. That pretty much started back in March. And if you kind of zoom in here, it might be a little bit of a, I don't know, maybe a little bit of like a triangle forming, something like that. Roughly. Nothing perfect, but maybe you could look at it like this. And whichever way it breaks out, probably be telling. Apart from that, don't really see much else to talk about. There's not really any divergence on the daily for right now. Just kind of chopping around. Next up, we got the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Looks okay to me for right now. It actually did fill a gap today, which is good. You know, this whole entire area is kind of your resistance. It's topped out at this area multiple times. This whole entire area. If it breaks above it, then you'd probably use that high and this low as your Fibonacci, and then you would have Fibonacci resistance at 354 and 359 next up, if it, you know, decides to break and go higher. So we'll see how that does. EOSE, we looked at this pretty recently, still looks the same in a down sloping channel. Potential inverse head and shoulders idea, kind of a little bit weird, but it still is kind of there. And the same thing for the hidden bullish divergence. It's not really developing right now, but there is a potential for it if it ends up getting a bounce up in price. It is actually at a pretty interesting area though. It's come back down to this historical level. You can see it was resistance back in December and then support back in March. Now it's re-entered that area, so hopefully it can act as support again. For EOSE, earnings are on the 11th of August apparently. DraftKings down 1% today, still in this down sloping channel. Earnings August 6th, 47.26 is your closest support. If it eventually can break out of this channel to the upside, then you got resistance around 52.78. That's your closest resistance. NEO down a lot today with a lot of other Chinese stocks. Not much to look at here on NEO. We were looking at it last night and I talked about how it was at a very important level. Well, it broke the level. It kind of gapped down like right under that level. Actually, I don't even know if it gapped, but it just dropped right at the open. Yeah, it looks like it just dropped right away at the open. So just kind of dropped right under that level. Once it broke that level we talked about, that was the level. Once it broke it, it got ugly. That's why I use stop losses. Now it's just kind of in a weird place. It actually did fill a gap today. It filled a gap from May 28th, so maybe that does act as support. It did act as support today. It was pretty much your session low. If that breaks though, then your next major support on the daily is 34. I don't know if it's going to go all the way down back to 34. Probably just depends on the overall market and the sector itself. It's kind of weird for NEO because not only is it, you know, in the EV sector, it's also a Chinese stock. So you kind of got both of them, you know, in pretty weird spots right now. EVs are not doing too hot in the last pretty much this whole entire month, and then Chinese stocks as well. So we'll see how it does. It was obviously a monster last year. Maybe you could look at it, something like this as well. A little bit of like a falling wedge. So yeah, that's NEO. Next up is FUBO. Hidden bullish divergence on the daily, down 3% today. Still a potential inverse head and shoulders. I think this setup is probably just going to come down to the earnings, which are on August 10th. If earnings go well, I think then you have technicals and fundamentals lining up, and it could be a catalyst to push you above 35, which would be a major breakout. If earnings don't go well, then there's probably room back down to 22 to retest that. So I think it just depends on that. It obviously did break a supply line, but it's just kind of going sideways. ETSY, a little bit of classic bearish divergence on the 4-hour MACD and RSI, higher high on price, lower high on the oscillators. Same thing on the daily, you got some classic bearish divergence. So oscillators do not look good on Etsy currently, but you have earnings on the 4th of August, so that matters much more than your oscillators on the chart. So just focus on that probably. You got some support at around 181, and next resistance honestly is up at like 226. You kind of are right in between them. JMIA is next. It actually is getting really close. You could probably pretty much call it a bullish bat now. I had this lined up a while ago. Look, I even set an alert down here at the pattern completion zone. I think I was scanning or something. Yeah, kind of turning into a bullish bat here on JMIA. I don't know if Print is in the chat, but I know he talked about JMIA a lot back over here when it was on its crazy run. I don't like talking about JMIA too much. I like the company. It's just, if anybody remembers, I got some JMIA literally at probably the best price I could have. last November. It was like literally the local bottom in November, and it's never gone back down to that price. I bought some JMIA right over here, and I sold it for like a 10% gain last November. And if I would have, obviously I probably wouldn't have held it all the way to the top, but from that area where I bought it, it went up 450%. So that's why whenever I look at this one, I just kind of get a little bit of pain. But we'll just work through it. And yeah, it's just really bullish bat. I don't know if there's much divergence on this one. If it doesn't bounce at the 886, then I guess 1778 is your next level, or really like $18 to $17 this whole entire, honestly all of this, like literally all of this is an interesting range, because it was your support over here and then resistance over here. So it's approaching, it might not be there just yet, but it's approaching a pretty strong area of support. Next up is RBLX. This was a failed premium trade. We've been talking about it on stream, but I was looking at it like this. Falling wedge, something like that. And then I was watching this level right over here, 77.62. It was your resistance 3 different times in April. And it broke that level. It hit the stop loss of the idea. And I was also watching classic bullish divergence. It looked like it was close to confirming, and then it had 2 red days. And now there's still potential for it, but it's not really currently developing. The price needs to go back up for that to start developing again. In terms of a Gartley, never even really looked at it like that, but yeah, pretty much like a textbook bullish Gartley's, where it actually bounced off of today before painting a bullish pin bar candle. So still pretty decent technical argument. I would just like to see it get back above 78, because that's probably the most important level to me I see on the chart. It was resistance over here, over here, over here, and then it flipped into your support. So I'd like to, if it just gets back above 78, I still think it looks like a monster. You know, potential divergence, a level that you can judge your risk around, a Gartley, falling wedge, and this thing just IPO'd in March. So it's quite a bit of variables to have on your chart in only a few months. Next up is space. Hidden bullish divergence still developing on the daily, chopping around the 200-day moving average. It's all about holding above 27.50. That's the important level. Hopefully you can hold it. Earnings are coming up on the 5th of August. We'll see how that goes. That's really it. Nothing really changed since we looked at it yesterday. Moderna pulled back today. I mean, this one's been on a tear. I think I put out a trade on, was it Moderna? Yep. Why is this not? Okay. Look at that. At 114, I put out a trade. You can't see the price. It's kind of blocked out by the chat, but price over here was 114. Let me hit the play button. I mean, now it's all the way up to 185. What a crazy move. This trade, like, look at this little cute trade. Probably like a 10-15% gain, and then just kept going and going. Then it came back down and then just ran all the way back up. But it's been a monster lately. Let me go full screen again. But yeah, it's been on a tear for sure. Earnings are coming up August 5th. I really don't know how to look at this at this point. I mean, it's just going parabolic. Really, ever since the COVID crash. It's really hard to draw these lines correctly. There's technically like no correct way to draw it because you don't know how the curve is going to be eventually, but you know, it's definitely getting really steep. It was kind of on this consistent curve up, and then really in May it just started going like straight up. So kind of is going nuclear right now. The RSI is really high. It almost got to the second highest level ever before pulling back. There's a lot of gaps to fill to the downside. Well, actually, I only really see one big one over here at 261, and then don't see much of a pattern. So That's really all I can try and do with that one. Kind of does look like the indices, yeah. Upstart, no clue. It's in a range right now. I just want to see this hold above 106. Earnings are coming up August 10th. That'll probably be more important than any technicals. That's really it. I don't know. Maybe I don't want to call this a harmonic because it only looks like an XAB, right? And then you'd be at a 78% retrace, then maybe do this and then that. I mean, you never know, but I don't really want to call it a harmonic. It just doesn't look like an XABCD, but just for fun, we'll see if we could try and look at it like this. If you do look at it like that, then it's pretty close to a bullish cipher, but I don't know. Like, it got down to the 786 PCC. All the other points are valid. It's just, it doesn't look like an M shape. It just kind of looks like a, I don't even know. It just looks like a up and then sideways. It doesn't really look like an M to me, but whatever. For right now, just look at it as a range. It's within this range. Breakout will be probably above 136, or around 136 would be a breakout to the upside, and then to the downside would probably be under 106. So I think whichever way it breaks will probably be telling. Next up, we got BABA. It's gapped down for what, 1, 2, 3 days in a row now. Earnings are coming up on August 3rd. It's just a lot of fundamental concern, not even fundamental, but I guess sector-wide concerns for Chinese stocks. So I don't know. I think that the most important level on BABA to me was 211. You know, once they broke that 211 level, I haven't thought of it. I haven't touched it. I tried to trade it above this level. It didn't really play out, but I had a tight stop loss. That definitely helped in hindsight. And now it's just getting destroyed. It's actually kind of like another example of technicals and fundamentals lining up. You know, you had the very clear 211 level, and once it finally broke that 211 level is when the real bad news started dropping, and it gapped down 4 days in a row. 3 days in a row. So it's just crazy to see, like, this was this super important area, right? This historical area from the past 3 years, and then as soon as it broke it, bad news comes out for all the Chinese stocks pretty much. And now you're just way, way lower. There is a huge area of support around like 166 to 170 from all these lows and from this low. I don't know if it's going to go all the way down there, but that's the next major area. See, I think it'll probably just come down to earnings and however all of this China news unfolds. Pinterest, it's all about earnings. I think was Pinterest today? I don't remember it being today, but it might have been. I don't know if that's wrong. I don't even see. Oh no, it says Pinterest is on Thursday. So I think Pinterest is on Thursday. I'm not too sure. Oh wow. Okay, never mind. So I was actually also wrong about Amazon being tomorrow. Sorry. So tomorrow we have Facebook, Boeing, Shopify, Pfizer, Tilray, McDonald's, Spotify. I think I said PayPal. I don't remember. So another huge day tomorrow, and then Thursday we have Amazon and Pinterest and Twilio and Upwork and T-Mobile. So yeah, Pinterest is on Thursday, I think. It just comes down to however that goes. I don't really, technicals or whatever until we get those earning results. So I wanted to see how that goes. You did not fill a gap today. You were pretty close to it, but you didn't. Charge point is next up. Hidden bullish divergence is possible. It's kind of there. But you need to make a higher low than 1942, or at least bounce off of 1942. That's the most important area. It was your quadruple bottom from March to May before a major run. Now you're coming back down. You just want to bounce off of it, I guess. And then maybe if it hits an 886, you could try and call it a bullish shark. I don't know if that's too shallow on a B point. I don't even know if the B point matters on sharks, but if you ignore the B point, then in 886, you'd like to see a bounce there. Really, anywhere you'd probably want to see a bounce above 1942. So that's really it. It already broke a supply line, but it's just going lower again. So it's just, again, it's a sector-wide thing for a lot of these stocks. They're just not acting as they usually do, or I'm not going to say as they usually do. They're just not acting by themselves. They're just kind of all dragging down together for a lot of EVs and POS stocks and SPACs and growth stocks and mid caps and you name it. UAMY, ascending triangle, hidden bullish divergence on the daily, pretty nice looking. Looks like I already have this charted. If this can get above, oh my gosh, look at this 103 was even resistance in 2018, and it was a low in 2013. If this can get above 103, I mean, it looks like a monster. I don't even know where I have this charted from, but yeah, 103. If it can break that, then you could see this other high from over here in April. Above 103, I don't see much resistance till 139, so that would be next up, and then you just want to hold above this demand line. But earnings are coming up on the 16th of August. It's actually green today, up 5%. Butterfly Network, look at that. Wow. Hit the PCZ with bullish bat, bounced right off of it. And now you can see some hidden bullish divergence developing on the daily. That's really cool to see. Looks pretty decent to me. You know, there's not much apart from the divergence in the bat, not really like a clear support here, but you could probably just kind of look at it something like this. Just throw your, not financial advice, throw your stop loss under that pattern completion zone. A little bit of a voice crack there. And then you target the B point for almost a 3 reward to risk. And then you could target the C point for a 4 reward to risk, which would be a nice gain. So I think it just needs to hold above the lows from July 19th, and that would probably be pretty good. OCGN, we looked at this recently. It kind of broke out of the supply line. Now it's just spent like a whole entire week back testing it. Your support is 627. I just want to see it stay above that. That even dates back to 2019. So that's really it for OCGN. And then GNRC, this one's just going crazy. You got support at 364. And then in terms of resistances, your 2618 extension would be around 485. And then earnings, I think, are tomorrow according to TradingView. So we'll see how that goes. So that was GNRC. We did OCGN, I believe, as well. Did we do OCGN? Yeah, we just looked at it. Okay. We looked at space as well. Alright, so these will be the final 2 tickers of the night, LOVE and MMAT. Don't drop any more tickers in the chat. Just gonna look at these and probably get out of here. It is what it is. You know, I always try and show up for the streams. I appreciate everybody who came out tonight for real, but just want to definitely conserve my energy when things are kind of whatever and just, you know, low vibes and stuff. Just still show up and cover everything, but save the energy for bigger days. Just kind of follow the momentum. So yeah, I might end the stream. Actually, we've actually been live for a pretty decent amount of time. It's almost been an hour, so it would be the normal amount of time I stream either way. So yeah, we're just gonna look at these 2 and I'll probably get out of here. And then that'll be it for today. MMAT, at this point, you know, very frustrating trade. It started up really well, then it fell down, got stop hunted, bounced back up, then got stopped, like all over the place. At the end of the day, it still is developing hidden bullish divergence on the daily. And on the 4-hour, it's already confirmed it, but it's not really done much. And now it's under the 200-day moving average. I don't really like it under this level, you know. This 342, it was a very important level. It broke it. It also broke the 200-day moving average. So personally, I'd like to see it get back above this area before I got more excited on it. Maybe it does. Maybe it double bottoms here and runs back up. You never know. But for right now, I'm a little bit neutral on this, I'd say. Lovesac. Okay, I thought it was going to be, did you say Lovesac or Southwest, which is LUV? It is Love. Okay, so you're going to look at this one. Final one of the night. You could probably just call this local divergence. price is making lower lows, and then this, it really is two islands, but technically it's not. It's, you know, decreasing negative momentum, which is good. Now you're near the 200-day moving average. I would just like to see this hold above 51. You know, that's your support from this whole entire range in January. You even have the 200-day moving average, which I probably just said. That's probably not the best way. Maybe just look at it like a falling wedge, I guess. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this one. You just like to see it bounce. And anywhere really in this area. It could even try to double bottom off of this, but you never know. I'd just like to see it bounce there. And I just love Sat Company for all the beanbag lovers out there. Bitcoin right now getting close to 40K again. Let me change up my alerts here. I'll probably leave that. So Bitcoin currently at 39,800-ish. Actually, Goggle says, question, what is the point of Bitcoin futures? I really couldn't tell you. I mean, the point of really any futures is kind of to hedge uncertainty in the future, hence the point of futures. But really with Bitcoin, it's like, the market doesn't close, right? Crypto is always open. So it's interesting. I mean, a lot of different things have futures. You have commodities, you have stocks, now you have crypto. It's just mainly when you have a futures market, it just helps you, you know, find hedging for the future so that if conditions change, you have some sort of a base to look at. That's just how I look at futures. But, you know, people trade futures, and you know, it's like its own whole world. And derivatives are kind of like everything at the end of the day. So I think it just helps for the overall structure. It also depends on where you're looking at the futures, because at the end of the day, like, Bitcoin doesn't need futures in my opinion. They're just kind of like there, right? Bitcoin still is Bitcoin without futures on it. But I guess they just help. They're just an extra source, I guess. They expand the market. That might just be why. But the only thing I would say about Bitcoin futures is, wouldn't they have to be like controlled? You know, I don't know. Maybe they are decentralized. That'd be really impressive if they are. But I really don't know exactly how they work. So I think they're through CME. I'll just look at Bitcoin futures. I really never look at Bitcoin futures, but yeah, they are through CME. So, you know, you'd be looking at them for multiple months out, however you wanted to, or just the regular futures chart. And then they close up. I think they close and open around at the same time as stock futures, if I'm not mistaken. Wow, these Bitcoin futures actually look really interesting. Not too different from Bitcoin, obviously, but it's kind of like a descending or right angle descending broadening wedge, kind of, if you look at it like that. Maybe even Bitcoin could be looked at like that, can it? Maybe. Kind of like the same thing. Just a fresh chart, I guess. But yeah, Bitcoin apparently $100 away from testing 40K again. Make sure to hit that like button if you didn't already. Hit that subscribe button as well if you didn't. I sound like a radio DJ. So yeah, Chad Free says, I wish we had the mic emoji in here. Actually, I think there is a way to get custom emojis on YouTube. I just don't think I'm approved for that, or either I'm not approved or I don't have it enabled. I can't remember. But yeah, probably gonna get out of here for the night. Have a great night. Good luck trading tomorrow. Thank you for watching the stream. Seriously. Even Cheddar Free says, keep your head up, CV. I'm all good. It's just, I like kind of, you know, just timing my energy, if that makes sense. That sounds so weird. I sound like I'm like out of like an Avatar movie or something. But you know, when things are just kind of slow, I just stay slow as well. I just kind of chill out, relax. No, I'm not down or anything. I'm just kind of hanging around. And then when things pick up again, which they always do, then you're gonna see me going crazy and stuff. But just kind of fitting in with the vibes, I guess. I don't know, is what it is. But yeah, always happy to stream, help out however I can. But obviously it's just Times could be better than they are, but they're still good. That's just how I look at it. And yeah, so I hope you're all doing well. Have a great night. Join the Discord, links in the description. Thanks for watching the stream, and peace out. Oh, wait, hold up. Bitcoin just, great, now it's not even there. It literally hit 40K the second I flipped over to the ending screen. All right, come on, do it again, do it again. There we go, 40K on Bitcoin. All right, now I'm out. Peace out.